Not just people, all life forms. They're conducting a comprehensive biosphere assessment. Within hours, reports began flooding in from around the globe. Small metallic objects, roughly the size of basketballs, had been sighted descending into forests, oceans, and, most alarmingly, populated areas. Civilian videos showed the probes extracting samples with mechanical precision, coring trees, collecting water, and in several terrifying instances, briefly paralyzing humans to extract blood and tissue samples before disappearing. Global panic mounted as governments struggled to explain the intrusions. The decision had been made to withhold information about the Vrax's threat to prevent mass hysteria, but that position was becoming untenable. In the command center, Viridian worked frantically alongside the scientific team, analyzing data from the probes they'd managed to track. According to the aliens' assessment, these were standard Vrax preliminary collection devices, cataloging resources for potential harvesting. How long until they complete their survey? Rowan asked. 3 Earth days, Viridian responded. Then decide value. The implication was clear. After assessment, the Vrax would determine whether Earth warranted full-scale invasion. Dr. Petrov approached with new findings. We've analyzed the probe technology captured by special forces in the Amazon. Its construction includes elements not found on our periodic table. And the power source, it's like nothing we've seen. Can we disable them? Rowan asked. Potentially. Viridian has helped identify a frequency that disrupts their operating systems, but globally implementing it would require. Alarms blared throughout the command center. On the main display, one of the Vrax ships had broken formation and was descending rapidly toward their position in the Pacific. They've detected us, Rowan realized. Specifically, they've detected Viridian. Evacuate all non-essential personnel immediately. Chaos erupted as the platform prepared for possible contact, or conflict, with the approaching vessel. Amara found herself being hurried toward an evacuation helicopter alongside other civilian scientists. Wait, she protested. I need to stay with Viridian. The communication system. Non-negotiable, Doctor, replied the security officer. Commander's orders. As she was escorted away, Amara caught sight of Viridian watching her departure, its 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a gesture she now recognized as concern. The helicopter was moments from liftoff when Amara made her decision. Slipping from her escort's grip, she sprinted back toward the command center, ignoring shouts behind her. If humanity faced first contact with a hostile species, they needed their primary xenolinguist present. She arrived to find Rowan and Viridian standing side by side on the platform's edge, watching the Vrax vessel hover 200 meters away. Unlike the Nerthalians' approach, there was no attempt at communication, no symbols offered. Amara, Rowan hissed when he spotted her. You were ordered to evacuate, and missed the second first contact in human history. Not a chance. The Vrax ship held position, scanning the platform with visible energy beams that created uncomfortable sensations when they passed over human skin. A prickling, burning feeling that faded quickly but left unease in its wake. Viridian's body language had changed completely. Gone was the curious, almost gentle being they'd come to know. Now it stood with a warrior's posture, its skin hardened into protective plates, filaments around its head rigid and pointing forward. Without warning, an aperture opened in the Vrax vessel. A figure emerged, bipedal like Viridian, but with stark differences. Where the Neanderthalian was graceful and fluid, this being moved with mechanical precision. Its body appeared segmented, with exoskeletal plates protecting a core that pulsed with reddish light. No facial features were visible beneath a helmet-like cranial structure, only 3 glowing points that might have been sensory organs. Vrel Captain, Viridian spoke, using sounds unlike any it had produced before, clearly addressing the visitor in its own language. The Vrax responded with harsh, clicking vocalizations. Though incomprehensible to human ears, the tone carried unmistakable menace. Viridian's translation matrix activated, converting the exchange to text on nearby screens. You contaminate this harvest world with near-Earth-alien influence, the Vrax accused. This violates territorial agreements. Earth claimed by no empire. Viridian responded. These beings determine own fate. The Vrax commander made a gesture that resembled dismissal. Primitive species have no rights under Galactic Concordat. They possess resources. We claim them. As the exchange continued, Amara noticed something peculiar. Each time the Vrax spoke, subtle vibrations affected electronic equipment on the platform. Some kind of interference pattern or... They're scanning our technology while talking, she whispered to Rowan. Each statement contains embedded signals. The commander nodded slightly, already aware. They're assessing our defensive capabilities up close. Psychological warfare too. They want us to know we're outmatched. The Vrax commander turned its attention to the humans, addressing them directly through its own translation system. Its voice emerged as synthetic and cold from speakers around the platform. Your species has potential value. Genetic diversity, cultural artifacts, technological baseline acceptable for incorporation. Surrender resource rights willingly, and 20% of population will be preserved in reservation territories. The bluntness of the offer, more ultimatum than negotiation, stunned even the hardened military personnel present. Rowan stepped forward, shoulders squared. Earth and its people are not resources to be harvested. We extend diplomatic recognition to peaceful civilizations, but we will defend ourselves against threats. The Vrax made a sound that might have been laughter, a grinding, metallic noise that set teeth on edge. Admirable courage. Ineffective resistance. It turned back to Viridian. The Nearthalian collective suffered similar delusions before strategic reduction. Viridian's body flared with color. Anger. Amara recognized. Vrax lies. My world fights still. Your world burns, the Vrax countered. Your colonies fall. Soon only memory remains. With those ominous words, the Vrax commander retreated to its vessel. The aperture sealed, and the ship rose rapidly, rejoining its companions in orbit. Silence fell over the platform as the implications settled. Not only was Earth facing a technologically superior threat, but their only allies might already be losing their own war. In the emergency council that followed, Viridian revealed painful truths. The Nearthalian homeworld had indeed suffered devastating attacks. Their civilization survived, but was fragmented across colony worlds and space habitats. The vessel in Earth orbit wasn't merely a mothership, it was a refugee transport carrying thousands of civilian Nearthalians seeking safe haven. Why didn't you tell us this before? Rowan demanded. Fear rejection, Viridian admitted. Many worlds turn away when no Vrax follow. Amara felt a profound sadness for the alien species, refugees fleeing across the stars, only to find the same threat following them. There's something else, she said, studying Viridian's physiological readings. You're hiding something critical about the Vrax, something that might help us. The alien's skin darkened, the equivalent of a human paling with fear or shame. Through their communication system, it projected a series of images, ancient ruins on distant worlds, artifacts of immense power, and mathematical equations beyond current human comprehension. Forbidden knowledge. Viridian explained reluctantly. Old ones came before, left technologies. Vrax found some. Nyrth aliens found others. Knowledge dangerous. Dr. Petrov leaned forward, excitement overriding caution. You're saying there's ancient alien technology that could help defend against the Vrax? Yes, but price high, changes those who use. Before they could press further, Lieutenant Sharma interrupted with critical news. The Vrax probes had begun converging on specific locations around the planet, major population centers, strategic resource deposits, and most concerning, nuclear facilities. They're completing their assessment, Rowan concluded, preparing for the next phase. Satellite imagery showed the 4 ships in lunar orbit breaking formation, positioning themselves above different hemispheres. The preliminary invasion force preparing for deployment. "We need that forbidden knowledge," Amara said quietly to Viridian when the others were distracted by tactical discussions. "Whatever risks it carries." The alien studied her with all four eyes. "Change is irreversible. Bearer of knowledge never same. If it saves my world, I'll accept those changes." For a moment, the alien seemed to be weighing her resolve. Then it extended one seven-fingered hand toward her forehead. "Ancient ones communicated differently. Mind to mind. Can show you, but path one way." Amara hesitated only briefly before nodding her consent. "Show me." As Viridian's cool fingers touched her skin, Amara felt a jolt of energy unlike anything she'd experienced. Images flooded her consciousness. Star maps, technological schematics, mathematical principles that somehow made perfect sense despite their complexity. When the connection broke, she gasped and stumbled backward. Rowan caught her before she fell, concern etched on his features. "Amara, what happened?" She blinked, her perception permanently altered. The world seemed different now. Layers of reality visible that hadn't been before. When she looked at electronic devices, she could somehow see the energy flowing through them. When she looked at people, she perceived the electromagnetic fields surrounding their bodies. "I understand now," she whispered, her gaze fixed on distant points no one else could see. "I know how to stop them." The knowledge was both gift and burden, revealing a universe far more complex than humanity had imagined, where frequency and vibration were the fundamental languages of creation. And within that understanding lay the key to confronting the Vrax invasion force now descending toward Earth. As night fell, Amara worked feverishly alongside Viridian and Earth's scientists, applying her newfound knowledge to modify the planetary defense grid. The price of this wisdom burned behind her eyes. Constant information that would never again allow her to see the world as simply human. But if it meant Earth would survive to see another dawn, she would gladly pay that price 1,000 times over. Harmony of two worlds. Amara's hands moved across the modified interface with unnatural precision, her eyes reflecting data streams only she could see. 3 days had passed since Viridian had shared the forbidden knowledge, and she had not slept, could not sleep. The ancient wisdom burned through her nervous system like divine fire, reorganizing her perception of reality with each passing hour. "The resonance array is at 87% capacity," she announced, her voice carrying harmonics that made nearby electronic equipment vibrate subtly. "We need to reach 95% before the Vrax launch their primary assault." Around her, the command center had transformed into humanity's last hope. Military leaders from 17 nations coordinated global defense forces, while scientists and engineers worked to implement Amara's seemingly impossible designs. Equipment salvaged from Viridian's ship combined with Earth's most advanced technology to create something entirely new, a planetary defense system based on principles beyond human science. Commander Rohan Kapoor approached, concern evident in the dark circles beneath his eyes. He had barely left the command center since the Vrax ultimatum, refusing evacuation even when most government officials had retreated to underground bunkers. "The Security Council is requesting another update," he said quietly, "and medical wants to examine you again." Amara waved dismissively without looking away from her calculations. "Tell medical I'm fine. The neural reconfiguration is progressing as expected." "Expected by whom?" "This isn't normal, Amara. You're changing." She finally turned to face him, and Rohan couldn't hide his sharp intake of breath. Her eyes now contained subtle geometric patterns within the irises, fractals that shifted and rearranged with her thoughts. When she spoke, micro-expressions crossed her face too quickly for normal human perception. "Everything changes," she replied simply. "The universe is change. I just perceive it more directly now." Viridian approached, its movements synchronized with Amara's in a way that suggested unspoken communication. The Neanderthalian placed a 7-fingered hand on her shoulder, a gesture it had learned from humans, though the meaning now transcended simple comfort. "Transformation expected," it explained to Rohan. Ancient knowledge changes bearer. Mixed bridge between species. Is it permanent? Rowan asked, unable to mask his concern. Yes, Amara answered before Viridian could respond. But necessary. I can see the Vrax attack patterns now. Understand their technology's vulnerabilities. The nearby monitor displayed orbital tracking data. All 7 Vrax vessels had moved into strategic positions around Earth. Their initial assessment complete, they had issued a final ultimatum. Surrender within 12 hours or face resource reclamation procedures. Global panic had given way to grim determination. When the Vrax demands were made public, ancient enemies set aside differences to face the common threat. For perhaps the first time in human history, nations stood united not by treaties or shared interests, but by the instinctive need to protect their world. Dr. Nikolai Petrov hurried toward them, tablet in hand. We've completed modifications to the satellite network according to Dr. Okafor's specifications. The frequency modulators are operational, but... He hesitated, glancing at Amara. We don't fully understand how they're supposed to work. They'll work, she assured him, her attention returning to the central display. The principles are beyond current physics models, but the effects are predictable. When activated, the network will create a resonance field that disrupts Vrax technology. How? Rowan pressed. Their ships are massively more advanced than anything we've produced. Amara's modified eyes fixed on him with uncomfortable intensity. Advanced doesn't mean invulnerable. The Vrax depend on quantum-level manipulation of matter. Their technology reorders molecular structures to create materials and energy configurations impossible under normal conditions. And this helps us how? Because forcing order creates vulnerability to chaos, she explained, fingers dancing across the interface. Their precision is their weakness. Introduce specific harmonic disruptions at the quantum level, and their carefully ordered systems cascade into failure. Lieutenant Sharma interrupted with urgent news. Multiple launches detected from Vrax vessels. Hundreds of objects entering atmosphere. The main screen showed the terrifying sight. Swarms of smaller craft descending toward major population centers. Unlike the prior probes, these were clearly attack vessels, their configurations bristling with weapon systems that required no translation to understand. They're starting early, Rowan realized. Before their own deadline. Viridian made a gesture of confirmation. Vrax never honor terms, ultimatum distraction only. Activate the defense grid, Amara commanded. Now. Technicians scrambled to comply, initiating the experimental system that encircled the planet. Satellites modified with near-Earth alien technology powered up, creating a web of interconnected energy patterns invisible to normal human perception, but blazingly obvious to Amara's enhanced senses. For several tense seconds, nothing seemed to happen. The Vrax attack craft continued their descent, now passing through the upper atmosphere. It's not working, one of the military observers stated, panic edging into his voice. Wait, Amara countered, her attention focused on data streams flowing across her specialized interface. The field is establishing. The resonance needs to build. Slowly, subtly at first, the effect began. The leading edge of Vrax vessels showed visual distortions, rippling patterns disrupting their previously perfect symmetry. Several smaller craft began to tumble, their navigation systems compromised. It's working, Dr. Petrov exclaimed, watching the sensors. The quantum disruption is affecting their systems. But the victory was short-lived. The larger Vrax vessels adjusted quickly, their hulls rippling as they adapted to the disruption field. Though dozens of smaller craft fell from the sky, the primary attack force continued its approach. They're compensating, Amara observed grimly. Faster than predicted. Viridian communicated urgently through their shared system. The Vrax adaptation was a known capability. Their technological flexibility allowed rapid evolution in response to threats. Secondary protocol, Amara decided, entering new commands. Resonance shift pattern alpha. The defense grid pulsed with new energy configurations, changing the disruption pattern just as the Vrax had adapted to the first. More enemy vessels faltered, but again, the adaptation came quickly. In orbit, the Nearthalian mothership moved into defensive position, directly confronting the largest Vrax vessel. Energy weapons flared between them, silent, devastating exchanges visible only as brief flashes from Earth's surface. "They're buying us time," Rowan realized. "Viridian's people are fighting for us." Communication stations lit up as reports flooded in from around the globe. Vrax landing craft had reached the surface in multiple locations. Ground forces engaged the alien invaders with conventional weapons, largely ineffective, but occasionally scoring lucky hits against already damaged craft. Amara's expression shifted to one of deep concentration. The fractals in her eyes spun rapidly as she accessed knowledge beyond human experience. "We need to synchronize," she said suddenly, turning to Viridian. "Complete neural linkage." The Nearthalian hesitated, its skin patterns expressing concern. "Dangerous. May lose remaining human perspective." "Without it, we lose Earth," she countered. "The defense grid needs simultaneous modulation at thousands of points. No human reaction time can achieve that." Rowan stepped between them. "What are you suggesting?" "Direct neural interface," Amara explained. "Viridian and I join consciousness temporarily to control the defense grid as a single entity. It's the only way to adapt quickly enough to counter the Vrax." Before Rowan could protest, alarms blared throughout the command center. Satellite imagery showed a massive energy buildup in the primary Vrax vessel, a weapon preparing to fire. "Target appears to be East Asia," Lieutenant Sharma reported. "Projected impact, Yellow Sea region. Evacuation's impossible in that time frame," Rowan realized. Millions of lives at stake. Amara met his gaze, her transformed eyes pleading for understanding. "There's no choice now, Rowan. Let us do this." After a moment's hesitation, he stepped aside. "Do it." Viridian and Amara moved to the central console, modified with both human and Nearthalian components. The alien placed its hands on specialized interfaces, while Amara connected neural transmitters to her temples. "Initiating synchronization," she announced, her voice already changing, overlapping with harmonic frequencies. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Around them, displays flickered with energy as the two consciousness merged into a hybrid entity. Amara's body remained physically separate from Viridian's, but their movements became perfectly coordinated, fingers dancing across controls in precise, inhuman patterns. When Amara spoke next, her voice carried multiple tonal layers. Defense grid reconfiguring to adaptive pattern sequence. Full spectrum modulation initiated. Rohan and the others could only watch as the joined consciousness worked at impossible speed, making thousands of adjustments to the planetary defense system each second. On the main display, the effect manifested as waves of energy rippling around the planet, invisible to human eyes, but devastating to Vrax technology. The attacking vessels began failing in cascading sequence, their carefully ordered systems collapsing under the assault of perfectly targeted chaos. Smaller craft plummeted from the sky, while larger vessels struggled to maintain position, their hulls contorting as internal systems failed. In orbit, the massive energy weapon on the primary Vrax ship discharged, but instead of striking Earth, the beam twisted and shattered, redirected by the newly enhanced defense field. The backlash caused catastrophic damage to the Vrax vessel itself, rupturing its power core in a silent explosion that briefly outshone the moon. "My God," whispered Dr. Petrov. "They did it." Throughout the command center, personnel watched in awe as the Vrax invasion force disintegrated. Vessels that managed to land found their technology non-functional, their warriors stranded and vulnerable to conventional military response. The joint consciousness of Amara and Viridian continued working, adjusting the defense grid to capture and neutralize all remaining Vrax technology. Their expressions remained serene despite the strain evident in the sweat on Amara's brow and the intensified bioluminescence of Viridian's skin. After 27 minutes of sustained effort, the last Vrax vessel either retreated beyond the solar system or lay disabled in Earth orbit. The immediate threat had passed. Synchronization disengaging, Amara announced, her voice gradually returning to normal as the neural connection with Viridian slowly dissolved. When the link finally broke, she collapsed. Rowan caught her, lowering her gently to the floor as medical personnel rushed forward. "Amara," he called, cradling her head. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open, still bearing the fractal patterns, but less pronounced now. "We did it," she whispered. "We saved them." "You saved us," he corrected, relief evident in his voice. Nearby, Viridian leaned heavily against the console, its normally fluid movements sluggish from exertion. The merged consciousness had taken a toll on both beings. In the days that followed, Earth began the process of recovery and transformation. The defeated Vrax who survived became prisoners, not treated with cruelty, but held securely while humanity determined their fate. The technology salvaged from their vessels accelerated human scientific understanding by centuries. The Neanderthalian refugees, no longer hiding in orbit, were welcomed to Earth, the beginning of the first true interspecies community in human history. Their knowledge and humanity's resourcefulness proved a powerful combination, strengthening both civilizations against future threats. 1 week after the battle, Amara stood on the observation deck of the newly established Harmony Complex, a facility dedicated to integrating human and Neanderthalian science. The neural changes had stabilized, leaving her irrevocably altered but still fundamentally human. She perceived realities others couldn't, understood principles beyond current science, yet retained her connection to humanity. Rowan found her there, watching the sunset with Viridian at her side. The commander had been appointed director of Earth's new Interstellar Defense Initiative, an organization that would lead humanity's preparations for a universe now known to be both wondrous and dangerous. "The Security Council has approved the Alliance Treaty," he announced, joining them at the railing. "Official diplomatic relations with the Neanderthalian collective begin next week." Amara smiled, the expression warming features that had grown more angular since her transformation. "The first of many alliances, I suspect." "And the Vrax?" Viridian asked, its command of human language now nearly perfect. "Most will be repatriated to the nearest Vrax outpost," Rowan explained. "A few have requested asylum, claiming disagreement with their species' conquest philosophy. They may be genuine," Amara mused, "or gathering intelligence for future attempts. Either way, we'll be ready." The three stood in companionable silence as darkness fell and stars appeared overhead. Those distant points of light no longer represented abstract astronomical objects. They were potential homes, allies, enemies. The universe had simultaneously expanded and contracted, becoming both larger in its complexity and smaller in its connectedness. "Will you return to your people?" Rowan asked Viridian after a time, now that the immediate danger has passed. The alien's skin rippled with patterns they now recognize as contemplation. "My place is here now. Bridge between worlds. Much to teach, much to learn. And much to build," Amara added, her enhanced eyes perceiving possibilities invisible to others. "This is just the beginning." Below them, the first integrated human Neanderthalian community was taking shape, alien architecture blending harmoniously with human design in a physical manifestation of their new relationship. Scientists from both species worked side by side, combining knowledge in ways neither could achieve alone. "I've been thinking about what you said before," Rowan told Amara, "about how everything changes." She nodded, understanding the deeper question. "I'm still me, Rowan. Different, yes. Seeing more, understanding more. But my heart remains human." To demonstrate, she reached out, taking his hand in hers. Though her skin now held a subtle luminescence, a side effect of the neural transformation, her touch remained warm and unmistakably human. "We all change," Viridian observed, using a philosophical tone they discovered it had a talent for. "Life is adaptation. Evolution. Becoming more than we were. Rowan smiled, looking from the alien to Amara, two beings who had saved his world through their willingness to transcend boundaries. To becoming more than we were, he agreed, raising an imaginary toast to the star-filled sky. Above them, those distant lights seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging that Earth had finally joined the greater community of worlds. Humanity's isolation had ended. Its true journey was just beginning. As the three turned to head inside, Amara paused for one last look at the heavens. Her enhanced perception revealed patterns connecting those distant stars, the subtle web of relationship and potential that bound all thinking beings together across the cosmos. Whatever challenges awaited beyond Earth's atmosphere, they would face them not as separate species, but as allies who had discovered the most powerful technology of all, understanding across the boundaries of difference. In that harmony lay their greatest strength, and the promise of a future limited only by imagination.